we've come to Serenity. If you see, Serenity is another one of these very modern Oroville communities where, you know, they've made these units and people are living around them. And again, a lot of space, a lot of landscaping that hasn't been thought out, in my eyes, in relation to, well, what's our primary need? Our primary need is food, you know, and obviously Corona has shown us that we can't just depend on a centralized system of food distribution being defined by coin. It's much more a question of, okay, well, what's our relation and our understanding of what grows around us? So there's a lady called Reka, and Marion and Stefano, they started this garden in Serenity, and it's one of the oldest gardens. Now, one of their challenges was cows, because it's quite a large compound. It's actually 3 communities, Maitreya, Serenity, and Maitreya 2. And I think to control all the cows coming in, it's been a challenge. So what we did is we made a fence here. So this fence is just loads of sticks stuck together. But then what's happened is the gourds, like this is ash gourd, that's just like started growing on the fence, and into the fence this is called chaya. This is the Mayan tree spinach, and tapioca and papayas, and there's ridge gourd, and you know, bananas, and all sorts of you know, all sorts of plants, edible plants, actually making use of the fence as a structure. Here you've got these beautiful bottle gourd flowers that you can see. You know, they only last one morning, but they're absolutely exquisite. And this fence is going to offer a lot of food. Now, if we go in the garden, I mean, I think this is very creative, personally. I think it brings just another vibe to a community. But if you come in this garden here, you can see, well, firstly, they've got this moratakan, which is the balloon vine. And that's really good for our articulations, our joints, our elbows and knees. And on this bed here, you start to have some brinjals, some beans, some pineapple, some chaya, a few lady's finger. That's this bed, which is at the edge of the fence. On this one is more developed. Cucumbers, there's the pineapples, of course, all those gourds. There's some early tomatoes and turmeric, and a whole bunch more of tapioca. Now these guys, they are using their grey water, as is creativity and invocation as well. Now grey water, the issue with grey water, as far as I know, and I'm not an expert, I'm very careful to be clear about that, but it's mainly the E. coli, the potential to have E. coli. Now what happens is when you're watering, the E. coli will sit on the leaves and it's not easy to get off. So what they do here is they have a spinach section. In this spinach section, they water this with you know, plain, with normal water from not normal water, how to say, with fresh water from a well. And then this they feel a bit more comfortable about eating. But I know they're also using the other greens as well that have the potential of E. coli. They're just really careful. They rinse it off. And what we've discovered recently is that if we use a drip irrigation where the water is going directly onto the soil, and there is no connection with it to the plant, then we're pretty home and, you know, we're home and dry with that E. coli story. But look at this spinach bed, it's really awesome. You have lemongrass and beautiful basil. This is the portulaca, high in omega-3. Then you've got the kalparavali, the Indian ajwain, this balloon vine. You've got chicken spinach. You've got this ponangani, which is really good for the skin and for the eyes. You've got other varieties of amaranth here with the little white flowers. You've got devil's back whiplash, the Brazilian joyweed. You've got this local one called the Satanikida. And I think there's some other amaranths. There's the New Zealand spinach over here, which is really beautiful. And yeah, it's just like, it's very joyful, you know. And these people, they eat it. So there's only about 3 of them who eat it, but they constantly eat this, and that's part of their diet, you know, along with the drumstick, along with the chaya, and you know, along with other produce that they have. And again, what I see, you know, and I say this very gently, But the challenge that we have is not so much growing the food, it's social. You see how every house is pretty individual, you know, so you go in your house, you lock your door, you do whatever you do, and the other person goes in their house and locks their door, and we have our architecture already defines our social interaction in that way. I mean, we all need an individual space, I'm not saying that, but there has to be a thought of how do people relate to each other, and we will relate to each other on essential levels, on cooperation for water, for food, for services, you know, like sharing a washing machine. And I think that all those things have to be really considered when we start developing housing projects in Oroville. My friend Poonam, who is a very respected architect in Oroville over the last 20 plus years, she's working on a manual which is actually, you know, the top 10 best actions that we can do as architects to implement our relationship with local food into our architecture. You know, how do you do that? Collective gardens, collective kitchens. Like collective kitchens is a big one. It's just missing, you know. We just assume that, oh, no one wants to do anything together. But I think it's a very weak assumption, and that is what is actually defining us. Just next to Serenity, we're in Maitreya 1 now, and this here, if you see, is Mia's house, and there is Mia with her big floppy hat. And Mia is a very courageous person, because I think that there is you know, I wouldn't say it's resistance, but to make a change is always, you have to put your head above the crowd and do something different. And together with Yermalai and Surya, who are my old friends, they are really, they're some of the local people who really embrace permaculture and understand how to value their own cultural heritage. And what basically Yermalai has done last week is, we did these beds, no?
Yeah.
Made beds. The first bed has cluster bean, the second has lady's finger, which hasn't germinated yet. The third bed has radish, and then we have amaranth here. What did we put here? Cucumber, no? Cucumber with tapioca. And then we're doing 2 more beds, which will go around this area. They'll follow the edge of this path, the fence here. And then there'll be a second one here. And I think what Mia wanted was also a little bit, you know, there's an architectural landscaping involved in this. She at the moment, people are just looking into her living room and her bedrooms. So she just wanted a bit of like a screen, no? Like some papayas, tapiocas, but she wanted them to be edible. So she's already thinking like, how can this land be, you know, be useful? And as she's a very, you know, very proactive person, she's ready to do the work herself. That's it's just perfect. Now what we'll need to do is again bring one of those, the same fence like we had done that Rekha had done at Serenity, bring it here. Will also be a space on which the pumpkins and the gourds will all climb. This is very exciting for me. The reason is there are many lands like this in Oroville, and I think people, it's not that people don't want to do it. They have to find their inspiration. They have to find like the way forward. And I think that what, you know, with you know, Mia's courage and joining together with Yermalai and Surya, who have a knowledge to share, local knowledge, which they can say, well, look, this is how we do it. We sort of show a way for people. Well, you can also do this, you know. So this garden is of immense importance for me in my vision of trying to make this our new normal.